Track Record with your hosts Mike Shea and Robert Yetter. Brought to you by Eventide Entertainment.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to the newest episode of Track Record here on the Eventide Entertainment podcast feed. My name is Mike Shea.
And my name is Robert Yetter.
And today's episode is going to be, it's going to be leaning towards the negative. The nature of the theme kind of pointed us in that direction, but this is probably going to be a less than happy episode of Track Record.
Yeah, we pretty much set each other up, man.
Yeah, I felt bad at first about the album I gave you, like, oh, he's going to hate this so much, and then I listened to what you gave me, and it's like, you know what, I don't feel bad now. Yeah,
I
don't feel bad.
Turd for a turd, you know what I'm saying?
This is going to be a show of turds, lots of poop.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of poop.
We should just call this one shit emoji.
Just a shit emoji. It's going to be that'll be the title. It'll just be the shit emoji. If you missed last week's show was the Change of Heart episode. It was albums that we didn't like when we initially heard them, and now have a shred of respect for as we've matured and grown, just a smidge, just a tiny bit. But yeah, this week's episode is all about albums that were, we were built up for, we were ready for, we were excited for, and that left us feeling pretty disappointed. This is an episode of disappointment, everybody. So
yes.
So get your tissues out, get your notebook and your Ben and Jerry's. This is going to be a lonely, depressing kind of episode.
Yeah.
Let's start the show off the way we usually do. Robert, what are you drinking today, man?
Right now, I am drinking. Do you know about Deep Eddy's vodka?
I do know about Deep Eddy's vodka.
I typically go for the grapefruit flavor that they have. Was the first one that I've ever tried of theirs. They have a few different flavors now. Like I saw they have a cranberry and a lemonade one. So they have a few different things, but I always liked the grapefruit one. I think it's great for shooting. It's great for mixing. And so I have mixed that with it's a cranberry raspberry juice.
Okay.
And it's creating a tint.
It's creating a tint as he takes another drink.
Yes.
I'm drinking a screwdriver. Just
classic.
Yeah, I don't drink vodka.
Did you make it yourself, or is it like a Smirnoff screwdriver?
Oh no, I made it myself.
Okay.
No, I have some amount of dignity left in me.
Oh, don't tell Mitchell that. Mitchell loves those pre-made screwdrivers.
I used to drink the shit out of those pre-made mojitos that Bacardi put out.
Oh God.
Back
Crazy.
it was before I could afford to get a real mojito at a bar. So
that's why you just drink 40s, dude.
I never was a 40 guy. I never in my life have drank a 40.
That's not a bad thing, probably.
No, but I'm usually not a vodka drinker. I happened to have some vodka laying around, and it was enough that if I added some OJ to it, I was like, fuck it, I got a screwdriver.
There you
haven't
go.
had one of those. That's usually what I'll have for breakfast in the morning if I have a hangover, just a small screwdriver to kind of taper shit off. But
I always liked the mimosa in the morning.
Oh, you can't go wrong with a good mimosa. When I was on my big camping trip over the summer, the camp next to ours had a mimosa party going one morning. They invited us to. It was bacon and they said, "Come on over for bacon and mimosas."
Yeah.
So, I can't say no to that.
It's like the most perfect drink to pair with breakfast. It cures your hangover instantly. It's amazing.
It really does. It's if you don't know what a mimosa is, it's champagne and OJ. It's
that's it.
One of the simplest drinks in the world to make, and it will change your life, especially if you make it just right and after a long night of drinking.
I kind of just want to pour my drink down the sink now and make one of those.
If I had champagne, I don't keep champagne on standby because otherwise I'm only ever going to drink it with a mimosa.
Yeah.
And I usually have OJ and some kind of vodka sitting around. So
there you go.
Yeah. All right. So now that we're lubricated, we're nice and lubricated. We needed to lubricate for this huge, massive shit we're about to take. So
that's right. It's chunky.
It's big.
Voluminous.
It's at least 8 Keurig.
Is that some sort of Star Trek reference?
It's a South Park reference. The shits are measured in Keurigs, which are named after Katie Couric.
Oh, Keurigs. I thought you were saying quarks.
Oh, no, Keurigs. Because it was like some Eastern European. It's got to be at least 8 Keurigs.
Speaking
one of the
of
best
South
episodes
Park,
ever. Dude.
Pretty mixed reviews on that their new game there.
Which is I thoroughly enjoy it.
Yeah. It's sitting at a mixed on Steam right now, and I mean there's a fair amount of trolls on Steam, but typically like those scores, those review scores are pretty accurate.
Yeah.
But as I've mentioned before, there's been groups that have tanked certain games, like they took GTA 5 from a very positive to a mixed, just because of something about mods.
Which makes no sense to me because GTA 5 is fantastic.
Well, yeah, that game came out in 2013 and it's still $60.
Yeah, it's still selling like it's brand new.
Crazy.
And the thing about the fractured butthole, which it took me so long to get the joke with that name. It's kind of ridiculous how long it took me to get that. It's a good game. It's not as good as the first one, but the first one had that level of mystery and surprise to it. Nobody knew what to expect from it.
Yeah, it was kind of more cult, like a cult favorite, right?
Yeah. Well, and the hype for this one kind of died down a bit because they delayed it like twice. And so,
well, it happens. Did they change developers too? I think a different developer was doing this one.
No, it's still Ubisoft.
Well, Ubisoft is probably the publisher, and we can get into Ubisoft at a different time. But
yeah, if you want a more in-depth review of the Fractured Butthole, go listen to last week's episode of Saltwater Gaming with Ellison Smith, where he breaks down the game over a 30-minute period.
That's right.
Share some great thoughts about the game. Great new show. That show drops every Saturday at 9 a.m.
Shouts out to your boy.
Right up there. Right up. All right. So let's get into some shit here.
Let's get
Robert.
into the shit.
So why don't you tell the folks at home a little bit about the album you gave me to listen to?
Okay. The setting is 2013, South Carolina. This was at a point in my life where I was listening to Nine Inch Nails pretty heavy. Nine Inch Nails was a pretty huge influence for Bogeyman's Tears, and pretty much for all my music up until this album came out. It's called Hesitation Marks, and it came out. I think it was like the first full length album to come out in a few years. I believe aside from what was Ghosts, I believe was the album that came before it, but before that, I believe was Year Zero, which was kind of a more mediocre attempt, and before that was a little bit kind of the same, mediocre, and then so there was high hopes for Hesitation Marks. It had been a few years, and just like you said, there was a lot of anticipation for it to be good, really excited about it, and then I just listened to it, and it was a huge letdown. It was unlistenable. So you have Hesitation Marks by Nine Inch Nails. Let's see what you thought.
All right. I'm just going to get into it. Fuck this album, man. Fuck this album.
It's terrible, isn't it?
This is going to be probably the most negative review I've given on this show so far. Yeah, no, fuck this album. This album is garbage. This album isn't just garbage. This album is a dumpster outside of a Sizzler buffet after a Southern prom had their reception there and then set it on fire while it was full of a bunch of prom night babies. This was a travesty. This was like, I rolled my eyes so much listening to this album, which is dangerous because I listen to this stuff a lot while I'm driving.
Yeah.
Like, there were some times where I had to just shut it off and drive in silence for a bit.
Yeah.
Shame on Trent Reznor. First of all, I am a big Nine Inch Nails fan. Nine Inch Nails is the tits. And the whole time I listened to this album, all I could think was, shame on you, Trent Reznor. You're better than this.
Yep.
You're, and that kind of made me madder because on one hand, I would think to myself, well, you know, Nine Inch Nails isn't bad. They make better music than this, which should appease me, but it just made me worse thinking, no, fuck that. He can do better than this. This is bad. I'm going to tell you right off the bat. They started pulling me in with the intro, Eater of Dreams, that like 1 minute, because like I said before, I'm a sucker for slow EDM intro tracks. Don't know what it is. I just am. And then we get into a song which is not only garbage, but it has one of the dumbest titles I've ever heard in my life. Copy of a. And no, my microphone didn't cut out. That is the name of the song. Copy of a. I'm just going to call it copy because every time I say the phrase copy of a, I feel a little bit of blood start to trickle out of my ear. Okay. I can feel the aneurysm forming. So copy sounds like some 16-year-old back in the early 2000s got a hold of another song and made some weird techno remix of it and put it on YouTube. We all know the videos I'm talking about. We all know I'm talking, like, you know, the EDM dubstep remixes of like Metallica songs and Coheed songs. And that's what this sounds like. This sounds like somebody took like a singer-songwriter's track and remixed it where it goes copy of a 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 copy of a, like over and over again. It makes no sense. This is some of the laziest songwriting I've ever heard in my life. And I listen to Ailstorm and Five Finger Death Punch, okay? This is really, really fucking bad. You were right when what you were talking about earlier, which this was, you know, first of all, this is the last studio album, like legit studio album that Nine Inch Nails has put out. They haven't put one out since.
Yeah. Aside from those couple EPs, right? Yeah, there were a couple. There was one this year. He's put out 3 EPs since then, but you know those like aren't even like certified or anything, or just he started doing stuff independently. Yeah.
And the thing because prior to Hesitation Marks, he had put out Ghosts, which was a weird album. I liked it, but it was weird because none of the songs had titles.
Yep.
And then after that, he put out what was called The Slip, which was like an independently produced album.
That's right. It was The Slip. That was after Year Zero, right?
They both were. Ghosts and The Slip came out the same year.
Okay. What about Year Zero? That was a couple years before.
Year Zero was 2007. Ghosts and The Slip were both released in 2008.
Okay.
And then
prior to that, he released The Slip just for free on his website. I remember that.
Yeah, it had like it had like, you know, This One's on Me or something like that on it. Oh. But yeah, after The Slip came out, he didn't put out another album until Hesitation Marks 5 years later. And what really just breaks my spirit is how popular this album was.
Really?
Like,
it is?
It was nominated for Best Alternative Album in the Grammys that year.
Oh, shit, I just made my microphone spike on that one.
Rolling Stone and Spin Magazine all put it on like the best albums of the year list, which that's about the time that a lot of people started not caring about Rolling Stone anymore. So that goes to show. Yeah. The album felt really compressed. Like he ran it through the compressor a lot before finalizing it. And to show how much like Trent Reznor was stuck in the past with this album, it was one of those albums that had the Japanese edition bonus track, the deluxe edition bonus tracks, the iTunes Store edition bonus tracks. Like, it was just another one of those where it's like, this doesn't need, and literally the iTunes one is like a 40-minute conversation of like just him talking.
What?
Yeah, it's dumb. Yeah.
Heavy sigh.
Yeah. There was, this was not a good album. This was Trent Reznor sitting back and going, man, I haven't put something out for 9 Inch Nails in a while. I just got done doing the soundtrack to The Social Network for some reason. I'm going to go ahead and just make something. It's like he made it in a weekend. Normally he does stuff with like Atticus Ross, Alessandro Cortini. The three of them usually work on the 9 Inch Nail stuff all together. He made this one almost entirely himself. Like everybody else just has like producer credits.
Yeah.
But like he made almost the entire thing himself, and it was like, maybe if he had brought some other musicians in, it would have been better. Maybe that's kind of a warning, like, holy shit, when he's by himself, he's not good. Quick, somebody get in there with him. Like, maybe that's why he hasn't made another album since then. Everybody's like, Jesus, he is useless without us.
Yeah.
This is, we use this word a lot. This is generic as shit. Like, this is the kind of music that would be in the background of a medium budget 90s action flick. Like, I fully expect to like go turn on The Matrix and hear songs from this album 15 years before it was released. It's not good at all. The fact that it's certified gold and was nominated for a Grammy and received, and it's one of his highest rated albums. If you look at like review scores from Metacritic, Alt Press, Entertainment Weekly, The Guardian, all those, it's got like 4 out of 5, 3.5, 4 out of 5 on everything. Entertainment Weekly gave it a B+. I don't get it. I don't know what fucking album they were listening to that had the words hesitation marks on the label, and they were tricked. Because
I don't know. That's baffling to me.
It couldn't have been this album. They could not have been listening to this album and said, "This is Grammy worthy." Yes, no.
Yeah.
Yeah. This was hard to get through for me. This was really fucking hard to get through for me. It topped number 1 on the U.S. rock albums and alternative albums at Billboard. It peaked at number 3 on the Billboard 200.
It's like I'm getting a boner, but the wrong way. Like,
it's the why
inside
boner
of my body.
Yeah, it's the why boner. The why am I getting this boner? Like that's, on one hand, it's like, man, those are some really, really great accolades for that album to get. And then you listen to it and you're like, why did they give this thing so much praise? I don't get it. I don't get anything about this album. I don't understand where he was coming from. I don't understand what he was trying to achieve. I don't understand anything about what went into the process of making this album.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why I don't like it. Maybe there's something about the process that I'm just not privy to that might change my mind. But just listening to this as an album of music, this is garbage.
Garbage.
This is just awful.
It has...
Anybody... Do what?
I was going to say it has, there's one song on there I remember distinctly that has one of the most cringeworthy vocal parts that I've ever heard ever. I don't remember which song it is, but it is like why he would just hit like, okay, yeah, let's move on to the next part. You know, like that was good. Like, no, man.
And there's the song, While I'm Still Here, which is like, I think it's either the last or second to last song on the album, that has like parts.
Is that the one where he finds Jesus?
I don't know. It's the one that's got a Hank Williams song mixed into it.
I don't remember. I don't even remember that.
It's got, and I can't remember the name of the song, but there's a Hank Williams song that's like, some of the lyrics were worked into that song. It's like he was so lazy he couldn't even finish writing his own lyrics. He had to borrow lyrics from Hank Williams.
Yeah.
And calls it a lyrical interpolation, which to me just sounds like the part in Jurassic Park where they're like, the dinosaur DNA wasn't fully sequenced, so we put some frog DNA in there to make it a whole DNA chain.
Yep.
I can't even with this album. My Inner White Girl is coming out. I can't even with this album. I can't even. I never will be able to even. I just can't. I'm so done. I am over this album. I hate this album. Here's how bad this album is. It's so bad, it made me stop and question whether Nine Inch Nails was ever good to begin with.
Oh, man, that's bold.
Like, I've said that about a few things in my life, you know, like movie adaptations, where it's so bad that it makes me question whether the source material was even ever that good. This album was so bad, it made me sit back and go, why did I like Nine Inch Nails? Have Nine Inch Nails always been this bad and I didn't realize it till just now? I had to go back and listen to other Nine Inch Nails to remind myself, no, they were good. They were good. It's not Nine Inch Nails. It's this album.
Yes.
So if you are a Nine Inch Nails fan and you have so far been spared the experience of listening to Hesitation Marks, don't do it. Because it's gonna start to ruin Nine Inch Nails for you a little bit.
It'll destroy your brain.
And it is going to fuck your brain hole. Okay. This is not a good album. I am going to give it the lowest score. And I had to actually check with Robert before we did this to make sure we were allowed to do this. I am giving this 0 out of 4 stars.
Very nice.
I asked him if the lowest we could go was 0 or 1/2, and he said 0. We agreed 0 was fine. This gets 0 out of 4 stars. This is a travesty. This is an insult to its genre, and it is undeserving of all of the praise it has received over the years, and Trent Reznor should be ashamed of himself, and that's all there is to it.
Yeah.
So my score, this is probably the shortest review I've done for an album in a while, but I have nothing positive to say about this album other than the fact that it does, in fact, at some point come to an end. I hate this album. It is terrible. It is garbage. 0 out of 4 stars. Robert, whatever rebuttal you might possibly have, let me hear it.
Yeah, I don't envision rebuttals really for this episode. I agree.
Yeah. His rebuttal? Yeah. Robert's rebuttal is just yes followed by a period.
Yes.
It's just, man. So yeah. And if you think what I had to listen to was bad, what Robert has to talk about is up there. You
know, to be honest, I didn't even listen to the whole thing that you gave me.
Exactly.
Didn't listen to it all. Couldn't do it. It was impossible.
No.
Well, I mean, with that being said, why don't we take a break there, Mike? We'll listen to some messages from Eventide, see what's going down.
We'll be back after this message from me.
Yes.
there's nothing quite as satisfying as a good conversation with intelligent company. Join comedian Don Smith every week as he sits down and talks with comedians, actors, filmmakers, writers, and everyday schmoes. It's The Life with Don Smith, Wednesdays at noon on 106.9 FM, and now available on the Eventide Entertainment podcast feed every Friday on Spreaker, YouTube, and iTunes.
Nerd Versus, Mondays at 9 a.m. on the Eventide Entertainment podcast feed.
Are you into making music, videos, or podcasts? Are you a local comedic talent in need of some much-needed publicity? Are you a behind-the-scenes professional interested in audio-video production, graphic design, and public relations? Eventide Entertainment is actively seeking talents, clients, and professionals to help our business grow into something truly special. And we want you to be one of those. For more information, go to facebook.com/Eventide Entertainment or send us an email at eventideent@gmail.com.
And welcome back, everyone, to Track Record. We just discussed a little bit about Hesitation Marks by 9 Inch Nails. 0 out of 4 stars is what Mike gave it, and I had no rebuttal because I agree completely. Thank you, Mike, for the Eventide messages. In addition to those advertisements, I wanted to mention what is called the Raven Hour. Now, this is something that will eventually become a podcast where we will recite our creative writing and our poetry to you, the audience. But just to kind of roll it out, we made a WordPress. You can go to theravenhour.wordpress.com and you can see some of the writing that we're putting up there. It's kind of, I wanted a place for us to pretty much just post our writings. We have a lot of creative people in Eventide, and we have a lot of creative friends. A lot of us are writers, poets, and so I just wanted to make a place. It only seemed natural to do that. We dabble in many things here at Eventide Entertainment, so that aspect just kind of seemed natural. So go check that out, and keep a ear out for the podcast that will eventually come out of that.
Yeah, it's something that it's really something experimental for us. That's just it's more of a passion project than anything else. We're all, like Robert said, we got a lot of creative people here at Eventide and who appreciate the finer things like poetry. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the stuff you'll see is not a lot of it won't even actually be. Some of it might not even be from Eventide people. It'll just be people who are poets who are like, "Hey, can you
yeah,
post this for me?" But
you got to get Jessica approached me. She has a friend. Jessica's the host of our Eventide show, The Bookseller. By the way, check out her show. And she has a friend that just wanted to stay anonymous, but wanted to post some poetry, and I said, "Hails yeah." Yeah,
it's you'll see a lot of stuff that might be, stuff from the Careless Whisperer that didn't make it onto an album. Could be, song lyrics that never went anywhere musically, but might have a good rhyme scheme, a good rhythm to them, a good flow. It's just a great source of different kinds of creative writing for you guys to enjoy if you appreciate that kind of thing. So again, that's at ravenclocks.wordpress.com, or you can go to eventideent.com. There's a link there as well.
There you go.
And you can check that out, as well as all the other great shows. We have 7 shows now on Eventide. 7 shows.
7 shows.
7 shows. So
it's
check
beautiful.
all of those out as well.
That's right.
So let's
Robert, get into some more. So we have how you're at work and you're like you got to poo, but you just hold it in, and then you go to poo 8 hours later, but it's it's like a 7-layer dip, you know. It's like one poo. It's like it gets like fresher and fresher as you go. This is like we've just laid down the foundation poo, the bottommost layer, and now the second layer that has been a little more freshly brewed is going to be plopped right on top. And I'm just rambling now. All right, anyways. Yeah. Mike, let the fine audience, let them know what the next travesty is, please.
Yeah, so a few years ago, 2011, legendary heavy metal band Metallica and legendary rock singer-songwriter Lou Reed decided, hey guys, we should make an album together. Now, Lou Reed is one of the most prolific songwriters of all time. We were just talking about poetry. I mean, the man writes poetry and puts it to music. And Metallica is Metallica. Need I say more? So the idea of such an amazing lyricist and songwriter teaming with probably the most legendary heavy metal band of all time just seems like a no-brainer. So in 2011, they released an album called Lulu. Mm-hmm. And from there, I will let Robert take it.
Okay. So, Lou Reed and Metallica, album called Lulu. Just to start off with a little bit of the history, Mike already touched on some of it. It was released in 2011. And according to Wikipedia, the conception of the collaboration began in 2009 when both Metallica and Lou Reed performed at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame's 25th anniversary concert. And after that performance, they began, kicking around the idea of making a record together. And the collaboration was originally intended to be Metallica re-recording various previously unreleased tracks that Reed had written over the years. And among those unreleased demos was a collection of songs composed for a play called Lulu, a theatrical production of two plays originally written by the German playwright Frank Wedekind. And unlike Hesitation Marks, Lulu was met with heavy negativity by critics and fans alike. And Lou Reed himself stated that it effectively ended his career. So just to touch on that, here's another... Stop! And just to touch on that, here's another little blurb from Wikipedia. Lou Reed stated that Metallica fans threatened to shoot him due to the collaboration on Lulu. I swear, these dogs. Hey, shush. I will sodomize somebody. All right, let me start that over.
Okay.
Where was I? And so, just to touch on that, another blurb from Wikipedia is Lou Reed stated that Metallica fans threatened to shoot him due to the collaboration on Lulu. And in response to this and the overall negative reaction to the album, Reed commented, "I don't have any fans left. After Metal Machine Music in 1975, they all fled. Who cares? I'm essentially in this for the fun of it." It's pretty positive thinking there. Lars Ulrich, I like to say his name with a and the German way. He also noted the negative reaction to Lulu and stated that he wasn't surprised by the criticism due in part because, and I quote this, in 1984, when hardcore Metallica fans heard acoustic guitars on Fade to Black, there was a nuclear meltdown in the heavy metal community, and also noted that Reed's poetry is not for everyone. So there was a lot of reaction from the band, from Lou Reed, about the negativity surrounding this album. But aside from what Lou Reed said, all the Metallica guys seemed pretty positive about it. Like, it just surprised me, because if you listen to it, it's just really, it's steamy, smelly. Now, and so my reaction was pretty much the same as the critics and the fans. It was definitely negative. I'm not a Metallica fan by any stretch, but I've listened to a good bit of their stuff, and this is the most uninspired music I've ever heard from a band I know is wholly capable of making moving and powerful, entertaining, and good music. Listening to Lulu is like getting large sports shirts from your grandparents on Christmas when you're actually a medium and a video game nerd. Listening to this album is like listening to Gary Busey clip his toenails.
Hashtag Gary Busey.
It's like listening to Gary Busey queef for an hour. This album makes Hesitation Marks by Nine Inch Nails feel like a head massage. It is okay. And I place the blame of the terribleness of this album squarely on Metallica's shoulders. They had a hand in every aspect of this album, being listed as producers as well as the writers of the music. The production quality of the album is subpar for 2011. It sounds like a conglomerate of rejected Metallica tracks that they just regurgitated from times past to throw around in the studio for a couple days while Lou Reed was around. It obviously was zero effort at all. And even just the thought of that kind of Metallica style music, it doesn't mesh with Lou Reed. It really doesn't. The backing music does not mesh at all with his lyrics. The subject matter. And the lyricism is really the only redeeming quality of this album. It's Lou Reed and his words. And that's about it. Like, there was a funny thing happened. I mean, I thought it was funny. It was just like something that happened that just shows you how terrible it is. So I played one of the songs in the car so I could show my wife Candace just what form of torture you were putting me through, Mike. We listened to this song. It's called Mistress Dread. And in that song, it's the same awful riff over and over for about 5 minutes. And she got so pissed at me. And she said this. She's like, just because Mike is forcing you to listen to this doesn't mean I have to suffer with you. And I didn't listen to another song after that. I just went about the rest of my life without this terrible piece of shit in my brain.
Damn, I almost got you divorced, man.
Funny, because I went from that to a little project called How to Destroy Angels, a Trent Reznor project there, him and his wife. Ironic.
Irony!
Oh, irony. So there you go. My review is even shorter. No profound remarks. Just a couple reactions to the album. What the band themselves thought of the album. They they felt like it was shit, but they were okay with it, because whatever, they're Metallica, and it probably was no skin off their back, right? It obviously didn't take a lot of effort to make. God, the production is just terrible. It sounds so flat. It's like, I don't understand it. So, and again, the only redeeming quality is Lou's, his lyrics. But even then, he gets a little, like, you can tell he doesn't know what to do with the backing tracks. And, but the words are okay. But, that's not enough to save it from a score of, I'm going to give it a half of a star. Not a full 0. And I know that I said that it was worse than Hesitation Marks. But in respect for Lou Reed,
it has the redeeming quality of Lou Reed's lyrics.
Exactly. So. That's what, in respect for that, he passed away a few years after this. And, knowing that how this album, when he states that it effectively ended his career, and Metallica fans threatened him, like, that's not a good note to leave on, so a half star. I wish that I had some more, like, in-depth stuff to say about it, but I really don't.
Well, there's nothing really that in-depth about the album. I mean, it's just it really is a disappointment, because this is something that could have been awesome. It could have been a lot of fun. But it's like you said, it was basically just because the album is an hour and 27 minutes long. This album is an hour and a half long.
It's about a Gary Busey queef's length.
It's the length of some films, and it was an hour and a half of stock metal riffs. Like, if somebody was making a YouTube video, like, look, I can play generic Metallica riffs.
Yeah.
It was an hour and a half of that with Lou Reed poetry over top of it.
Yeah.
It didn't fit.
It's a stain.
And it is. And again, this really is really and truly a disappointment, especially when you factor in, how again, like, the album sucks, but people making death threats to Lou Reed is stupid.
Yeah.
As a metal fan, speaking on behalf of the metal community, you guys are assholes most of the time. Just saying. Like, we talk about people, we don't want people to hate us and think we're all assholes, but I mean, we're all assholes if that's the way you're going to react. If you're going to threaten to kill somebody because you didn't like the music they made, just don't listen to the fucking album. But it doesn't change the fact that it sucks. It's not good.
It's poopy.
Yeah. So it's a shame. I mean, and that's really what it comes down to is, Hesitation Marks wasn't just like a disappointment. Like, it was offensively bad. Lulu it's disappointing, and it's kind of disrespectful to the careers of the two talents, I guess technically 5 talents who put it together, because again, like with Hesitation Marks, with 9 Inch Nails, you listen to Lulu and you kind of want to look at Lou Reed and Metallica and say, you guys can do better than this.
Yeah. It's I just feel bad, like, again, that's your last project before you leave the earth. Like, man.
Yeah. And you know what? It was a passion project. It didn't work, and sometimes that happens. I think a lot of Metallica's positive reflection on the album came from they probably had fun recording it because holy shit, we're in the studio recording with Lou Reed. But
right.
It was like this was just something they wanted to do. They probably weren't as concerned with it being good as much as just like having fun with it. but at the same time, like, it wasn't just something because it wasn't like I could listen to this and go, it's not good, but, you know, it's not horrible. Like, this was really fucking bad.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't even seem like that they, and like you say, maybe they were having fun, but it doesn't seem like that. If you're having fun in the studio, you're collaborating, right? And no, this sounded like Metallica flipped through, you know, they had their producer flip through like a catalog of their bullshit, and it was just like, okay, do that one, and you know, and they just sat around and they listened to Lou, you know, in the booth, spit some poetry, and then they were like, all right, and they just like popped on another generic ass Metallica track, and then I don't sense that there was any real form of actual collaboration there.
No, it was only recorded over the process of like 3 months, and it's like for
that was probably just like 3 days where Lou Reed flew out, and
yeah, like to spend for a bunch of heavyweights like that, to spend that much time in the studio, it should have been a little bit better. I mean, 3 months is not a long period of time to record an album. I like my bands to really take their time with the recording process.
Yeah.
But what do I know? I'm not a professional musician. Yeah.
Nah, me either.
But whatever. So yeah, so half a star?
Half a star.
Okay. This is officially the lowest scoring episode of Track Record to date thus far.
Yep.
A half a star and a big fat nothing. This was a weird, interesting,
sad episode.
Yeah,
there's no joy.
Well, maybe we can fix that for next week, because we're doing something a little more, I don't know, I guess fresh would be the word.
Yeah. So our theme for next week is going to be albums that we've discovered this year, that we had, you know, previously never listened to, or you know, a band that we've never listened to before and we just discovered and determined that we like.
Yeah, it's not necessarily an album from this year as much as it is just something we discovered for the first time.
Yeah, just you know, like if I had just discovered Metallica this year, then I would probably throw one of those out there, but it's like that. So for you, I have a band that I just recently discovered. Okay. Just kind of dinking around, looking at, you know, similar artists and whatever, like on Amazon, whatever. So it's a band called Septic Flesh, and it's an album called Codex Omega. They are a symphonic metal band, but they lean more towards the death metal side of things, rather than like an Epica style or a Camelot style symphonic metal. But I think you'll actually really enjoy it. I really enjoyed the album. Never heard of Septic Flesh before. Apparently they've been around for a long time. But it's a really great album, so listen to that shit.
All right, we'll give that a listen. The one I have for you, I had it narrowed down to 2 EPs and 2 full albums. One of the albums I ruled out because I think you dig it, but it's a little too similar to something we've done before, and I kind of wanted to get something fresh in here.
Okay.
So I narrowed it down to I got rid of the other EPs because I wasn't sure how you'd feel about one, and the remaining EP and full album were both by the same band. Mm-hmm. So I decided to go ahead and go with the full album.
Okay.
Because it's got some of the stuff from the EP on it anyway. So fuck it. So this is an independent group that I discovered on YouTube actually, and was really taken away with it. And I think you'll like it because I think it's in the same vein as some of the music you've written.
Okay.
and I want to get your take on it. So the name, and I'll probably have to send this to you. I'm not sure how easy it'll be for you to find.
Understood.
So the name of the band is Lunar Soul. That's SOL, like for sun.
Oh, that sounds familiar, actually.
The name of the album is New World.
Okay.
It came out last year. I just found out about it this year, so I'll Dropbox that to you.
Cool.
But yeah, I'm curious to see what you're going to think of this one, because like I said, it's in the same vein as some of the music you've written, and this is also like, when you hear it, you're going to be a little shocked that I'm the one recommending it to you.
Yeah.
Because I really like it, and this is really off the beaten path for some of the stuff I listen to.
I got you.
So there you have it. Next week's episode will be all about things we've recently discovered, things that we discovered for the first time in 2017.
New experiences.
It's always good to try new things, folks.
Mm-hmm.
Unless those new things involve, 9 Inch Nails and fucking albums. Jesus Christ. I love 9 Inch Nails. I really do. Just fuck that album.
Yep.
Like, that album has made me physically angry. Like, Jesus Christ.
It should be like, have you ever seen the movie The Book of Eli with Denzel Washington?
Yeah.
It should be like the inverse of that. If that makes any sense. You have
I think I follow you.
You have this thing that's so like hated, but there's like one guy that wants to like destroy it most. The inverse Book of Eli.
I feel like in The Empire Strikes Back, when they were torturing Han Solo for information, they should just play him that album. I feel like in Casino Royale, instead of whacking James Bond on the balls with a knotted rope, they should have just played that album.
Oh, no. That's one of the most brutal, like, just...
Oh, yeah.
Well done little scene there.
That movie, whew, that scene alone is just like, okay, James Bond taking a different turn. All right.
Yeah. He's doing another one, isn't he?
He's got one more. He's doing one more. He finally got this contract settled. They're going to pay him way too much money to do it, because he kind of wants out, but Spectre was not well received.
Yeah.
So they want him to go out on a good note. But to me, it's like, you're never going to top Skyfall.
I still like I like the first one,
Casino Royale.
Yeah.
Casino Royale is fantastic. He's kind of had like an every other movie kind of problem, because Casino Royale was awesome.
Well, plus it had my boy Mads
Mikkelsen, probably one of the greatest actors working right now. So I just watched Doctor Strange again, and he's such a good bad guy.
Yeah, he is.
But then
have you seen like previews for that game Death Stranding by the guy who makes Metal Gear Solid?
Yeah, is he in that?
Yeah, so it's got so a while back, Norman Reedus of Boondock Saints and Walking Dead fame was going to be in a game.
Oh, don't say it.
In a horror game, and
don't say it.
They released a I don't remember what the little.
It was like called.
It was a pre-game. What's that?
PT stood for pre-teaser.
That's right. And so it was like you walk around in circles and circles, but at the end you see Norman Reedus or some shit, and they were making a game, but it got canceled, and so Norman Reedus has been working with I can't remember his name from Metal Gear Solid. But anywho, it's got Mads Mikkelsen.
I have no idea.
Dude, go look at it's really freaky looking game. Okay. and nobody knows like what the gameplay is like, I don't think. But go check out that trailer. Mads Mikkelsen looks really freaking cool in it.
Okay, yeah, I will.
They use like really detailed models of their faces and stuff.
Nice.
So
yeah, because PT was one of the most horrifying experiences I've ever had in a video game.
Yeah, I only ever watched like Let's Plays of it on Achievement Hunter and stuff, and it looks just awful. Like
my old roommates like sat me down on like a Friday night, shut off all the lights in the room, and like forced me to play through it. It was, and then like in the middle of it, somebody walked by my window and their shadow cast on the curtain, and I about jumped out of my chair.
Yeah,
like, I freaked out so hard. But anyway,
oh well.
So, Robert, I think we have a show.
I think so.
I think we have probably the shortest show we've ever done, and probably the most negative show we've ever done.
Yeah, not a lot of. It just, the mood was a little.
Yeah.
Just
down. Hopefully next week will be better. I think next week's going to be a much better, much more positive experience.
Yeah. Just talking about all this crap, just
all this diarrhea, and
just makes me just want to sigh and look out the window.
Yeah. think about stars falling and how it's just a star dying out in space, and we make wishes upon its dying soul.
I keep wishing on stars, but they're all just dead. Anyway, everyone go check out the Raven Hour. That should be cool, man. I'm trying to get some more people to write some stuff on there. Right now it's all my stuff on there, but go check out my stuff on there. What's up?
Yeah, I gave the wrong URL earlier, so it's ravenhour.wordpress. I said Raven Clocks.
It's cool.
Which is
it's an upcoming song by Citizen 7 called Raven Clocks, and Mike is a huge fan, so that's what he was thinking of. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Not to force fandom on you, but I'm just saying.
No, I mean, you're not wrong. But make sure you guys go to eventideent.com and check out everything from the Raven Hour to all the great podcasts we have. I'm going to run through them all right now because it's I can't believe we have a week's worth of shows. So Mondays you have Nerd Versus with Robert. Tuesdays you have Mike Talks Funny with me. Wednesdays you have this show, Track Record. Thursdays you have The Drive-In with Aaron Lopez. Fridays you have the rebroadcast of The Life with Don Smith. Saturdays you have Saltwater Gaming with Ellison Smith. And on Sundays, The Bookseller with Jessica Gillen, which just debuted this past week. And it was a lot of fun. And it's such a great variety of shows we have. We're talking about books, comedy, music, geek culture, video games, movies, whatever the hell's going on Don's show. It's a lot of everything. A lot of great stuff going on here. We've also got a lot of great music available on our website as well. You can check that out. It'll take you to the Bandcamp where you can check out the music from Citizen 7, Cloud Jolt, Bogeyman's Tears, The Careless Whisperer. Got a lot of great stuff on there that you guys can go check out and pick up and share with your friends. Tell your friends. Get on MySpace. Post a twit. Go like a status. Whatever you kids are doing these days.
Tumblr.
Get on AI. I was going to say go get on AIM, but they've officially discontinued AIM, so that's...
that was the original, man.
That was.
Started it all.
What was your AIM username?
I don't even remember, man.
Really?
Probably some song lyric or something, I don't know.
Mine
Probably
was
some Bright Eyes lyrics.
Mine was the most unoriginal shit ever. It was because I had just gotten into this band at the time. It was Mike Loves A7X.
There you go.
I had just gotten into them and was like obsessed, like most people were. So, yeah. Anyway, so eventideent.com is the place to go to get all the info you need about our show, other shows, everything else going on here at Eventide. Like us on Facebook. Check us out on Twitter, Tumblr, SoundCloud, YouTube. We are all over the interwebs. All over it.
Where there's a smattering of Eventide content upon the web.
There is. So make sure you guys check us out everywhere. And also on our website, you will find a link to our Patreon campaign. Make sure you guys go check that out. The Patreon campaign is for all of Eventide, not just our show. And it will help. You guys get all kinds of great rewards, discount codes, posters, all kinds of cool stuff for as little as $1 a month.
Damn straight.
And you can help support the entire network, keep the lights on, keep the podcast a-flowing.
Keep it flowing.
All right. Well, like I said, we've got ourselves a show. So, Robert, where can the good people find you on the internet?
So I have my coveted hashtag. I think that I'm just going to make that my Twitter handle, actually. I'm going to make a new Twitter. And it's just going to be, can they be that long? Maybe.
I don't know.
Let's see.
It's a good question.
Find me at Gary Busey eating potato salad.com. I'm just going to make it a website. Fuck it.
Fucking www.GaryBusey.com/www.GaryBusey.com/eating-potato-salad hashtag Rick and Morty rickandmorty.com hashtag SzechuanSauce.com.
People realize that they can buy Szechuan sauce anywhere, right?
I know it's everywhere. People are dumb. As a Rick and Morty fan, people are dumb. So you can find Robert there, I guess.
Just go on.
I guess you can find Robert there.
No, you can't find me there yet. Soon.
We're working on it. Check out Citizen 7 on Facebook.
Yeah, there you go. Listen to my music.
Listen to the music. Find me if I go to my website www.mikeshaycomedy.com and just I'll be at Ollie's every Monday for open mic night. I will be on Don Smith's radio show this Wednesday, and if you missed the live broadcast, you can hear it again on Friday when it comes up on the Eventide feed. And
Sex.
Hell yeah. And hopefully some other comedy shows coming up here soon. So with that being said,
thank you very much.
Thank you so much for listening, guys. We'll be back again next week with hopefully a much more positive, happy-go-lucky episode of Track Record here on Eventide Entertainment.
And we promise the last 20 minutes won't be plugs again.
Yeah, we had to get this in. So. Got to plug
Okay.
this shit.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Did the monkey? No, I don't want.